we never stop and take a step back and ask ourselves, where did I learn this? Who taught me?
Who taught me? Why do I do it? And
why do I think like this? Why do I behave like this? Why do I say these things? Why do I believe this? Is it a reality? Do I really believe it when I'm saying it, or am I just saying it because it's how I grew up? If you're going to go against what is culturally acceptable, you have to be willing to walk alone.
Welcome back to the Woman Experience. I am so glad you're here. If you are on a woman that is on a journey to rediscovering yourself, leveling up, being better, and doing better, please come along with me. I always say on this channel that we work together. A lot of the things I share is a journey I'm on, and I'm so thrilled that for this particular episode, by the way, if you haven't watched part 1, it's somewhere here, or we'll link it in the description box. Please go to part 1 where I have my guest, Caroline Gikonyo. So this is part 2, and we started with her story because we wanted to show that how some of our stories are so similar of being broken and getting back up, and also just reinventing our lives. And now we are in part 2. Welcome, Caroline.
Thank you so much.
How are you feeling now?
A bit better.
A bit
better.
better.
Was easy. Painful but easy.
Yeah, painful but easy. One of the things I wanted to tackle in this episode, because you are a coach and you've worked with so many successful women, is this idea of how do you rewrite your narrative after you understand your story and now you want to sort of step into your power and to begin doing something, even in the messiness of things. And I remember one of the things you mentioned, you were like, despite my calling, highest calling of helping women, entrepreneurs, successful leaders, I do not like being in front of the camera. So how do women reconcile these two things? Who you know you're called to be and who you will need to become?
Wow.
I think
when you find that answer, tell me. Because I think I'm still in the process of finding it. So let's go back. And in case I go off track, just bring me back, yeah?
Here, yes.
Yeah, so let's go
important.
back to the beginning, rewriting your story. You know, when you shared the show notes with me, and I put in my comments and all that, then a few days ago, I asked myself, do I want to rewrite my story? Do we need to rewrite our stories? Because it's my story. It's my life journey. Why would I want to rewrite it? It means I want to just remove a part of who I have been, which is what led me to who I am today. Yeah. And I decided, no, I don't want to rewrite my story. Wow. So in just a few days, I've moved from thinking you need to rewrite your story to, no, you need to incorporate your story into whoever you are. It has led you to here.
That's such an aha moment.
You can't
even delete your things that have already happened.
They have happened. And I think, I don't know if Itzia was telling that, Itzia was telling today before we started the filming, one of my biggest fears about being on camera, being on video, being on YouTube, is that, you know, in my life's journey, I have hurt people.
Yes.
Because even just by breathing, just by being alive and living your life, you will unknowingly hurt people.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable. And then you will knowingly hurt people, because sometimes we deliberately hurt people to get what we want, or even just deliberately go out of our way to hurt people. And when we are younger, we don't have the foresight. We don't have that clarity of connecting our actions, our desires with our actions with potential consequences.
Wow.
So there are a lot of things we do, especially when we are younger, that later, you know, with hindsight, of course, you're like, oh, okay, that one,
I should have,
or I could have done something different. But that's your life story. And then now there are also people who have hurt us, knowingly and unknowingly. They are part of our life story. So, and there are people that we like and we don't like just because they exist. That person, I really do not like so and so.
Yeah.
And there are people who don't like us either. And so, I mean, it's just how life is. So if I rewrite my story, I am saying I didn't exist.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to claim existence until it's like I started here. Which
From now on, know me from here.
Yes, this is where I started. But the reality is I started there.
Yeah.
And this has been part of my life journey.
Yeah.
I need to acknowledge my life journey.
Yeah.
I need to accept it. And in part one, we talked about healing. There are parts of it I need to heal from, and there are parts I need to forgive. People I need to forgive, and myself, I need to forgive myself for things I did, for people I hurt. So that fear of people who know me and people I may have hurt or people we may have had misunderstandings with, watching the video and they're like, I know this chick.
This one.
And then they come in your comments. And now it will be Edith dealing with the drama of my life.
Yeah.
And I was so afraid of that.
Yeah.
But, and I think, I don't know whether this is something that happens when you turn 50 or it's something that comes just as part of your growth, and especially when you invest so much time, energy, even money on your own personal growth. But one thing that has become clear to me this year is all people keep telling me I have so much wisdom that I share. I know I help change people's lives. And I'm saying this from a point of humility. This is my purpose. I am here to help change people's
100%.
lives. And I am not for everyone. And I know I cannot work with the masses.
Yes.
I know I'm meant to work with women in leadership because they have the ability to work with the masses. So by helping them transform.
Oh yes, you're then helping.
Then I'm helping
else.
the masses transform. And I am not going to stand in front of a stadium and speak, okay, so far God hasn't been, let me just touch wood. Because, sometimes we say, I cannot, I will not. And God laughs.
Yeah.
Because he's saying, my daughter, I am coming for you. And it's like when we're saying I cannot or I will not, then it's like we're daring God.
Yeah.
So let me just put that on the side and tell God I'm not ready right now. So I was digressing. But the reality is that all this knowledge, all this expertise, all these experiences can help somebody without them having to pay me. They don't have to come into my world, but I can reach them in their world through people like you.
Yeah.
So when I looked at my life's journey and all the hurts and all the drama I was afraid of, it pales in comparison to the potential to transform somebody's life. 100%. So if somebody will listen to me and it changes the way they feel about themselves, it changes the way they feel about life. I mean, that has happened to me. I watched somebody's video and my life transformed.
Oh, you happened to me. I watched
and we're happening to each other,
I had you once and you called me out and something shifted. Anyway.
Exactly.
Continue.
So I don't have to limit myself to my clients or to the people who venture into my world, but I can be out there scared. I can be out there, sharing what it is that I can share and let it reach the people it's meant to reach. Because, there's the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. The teacher doesn't have to be, you went from class 1 to class 8 with them.
Yeah.
The teacher could just be a YouTube video that changes your life.
Yes.
So that is the mindset shift that has allowed me to be here today.
I love how you talked about, one, it's not rewriting your narrative from the start. In fact, if we have to use that word, it's just rewriting your narrative moving forward.
Exactly.
And we are not going to abandon this whole other. In fact, why have we always used that? That's why I love having guests, because I get light bulb moments. We are just rewriting things moving forward, but let's acknowledge. And I also love how raw you got when you said, part of also, when you're called to do your life's work, you will have a lot of doubts because of who you are. Because even with this episode, someone will be like, oh, I know this girl. She's not, oh, what is she saying? I know her in another way. And you told me, Edith, you have to start making peace because it's bigger than that. And do the mindset work, because not everyone will like you. You said until you go to your grave. So let that not stop women from, rewriting or showing up actually.
Yeah, just showing up.
Yeah. So I want us to move to this idea of, which was a nice segue into where we are going, culture, expectations, and women. And it's a big one. A lot of women are not actually even just being honest or honoring themselves because of all these voices, culture, expectations. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that's the other part of writing your story. Unless you're able to challenge beliefs you have, and you don't know they're there. If you ask a woman, they're like, oh no, I've evolved.
And then
they are there.
Yeah. You know, the challenge with culture is that we grow up with it. So a lot of our beliefs, our values, we don't even know where we got them from. And actually, that's one of the things I have to work on with my clients. When I ask this belief, where did it come from? And somebody is like, but I have always believed. Yeah, but where did it come from? All beliefs come from somewhere. And beliefs are pegged on values. So the values I have, when I say respect is a value, what does respect mean to me? And when you go back, it is the way you are sensitized. From the moment you were born, you have been sensitized to date. And now add social media, add comparisonitis. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Always comparing yourself to other people. Add the way we are expected now to look, to behave. So when I think about culture in today's context, it has become this, it's no longer about our society, our tribe. There's so much that comes with the word culture that it transcends everything and becomes, who am I supposed to show up as? So I am this strong woman in the office, but when I go home, I am supposed to be subservient, because that's the cultural norm. So how do I shift from this woman when I reach my gate and
park her there?
And maybe because of my culture, I'm not expected to have a very big voice in the house, because if I have a big voice in the house, then I am overshadowing the man. Yeah. So, and that's one of the most common ones I hear, especially when you're starting out in life. If you're in a relationship, probably the man is doing better, and then you grow. And then there's a turning point where you're doing better, you're earning more. And that's a breaking point for a lot of relationships. So for me, culture has so many nuances. It has so many, it's like it has so many spirals coming out of it.
Yeah.
And when you try to unpack them all, you'll go crazy.
Yeah.
You can't unpack them all. So, okay, let's just start basically. I am a Kikuyu from Nyeri. So already I am a Kenyan.
Yeah.
Let's even go, I'm an African.
Yeah.
Then I'm a Kenyan.
Yeah.
Then I am a Kikuyu woman. I'm from Nyeri.
Yeah.
Crazy women.
Yeah.
What people
the
say
ones
about
who beat men.
I have yet to see a Nyerian in my family beat a man. But we are very opinionated. That I must accept.
Yeah.
And then I partner with someone from Luoland. Already, that's clash of cultures. So who do my children become? What culture are we going to give these children? And what culture am I supposed to take? I'm from this culture, you're from this culture.
Exactly.
Which is my culture now.
Yeah.
So there's so much that we just speak and we imbibe and we make a
Yeah.
part of our framework,
Yeah.
but we never stop to think. You know, that step back again.
Mm-hmm.
We never stop and take a step back and ask ourselves, where did I learn this? Who taught me?
Who taught me? Why do I do it? And
why
what's
do
the,
I think like this? Why do I behave like this? Why do I say these things? Why do I believe this? Is it a reality? Do I really believe it when I'm saying it, or am I just saying it because it's how I grew up? But then when you take this step back, it means you're taking control of your life.
Yes.
And when you take control of your life, people don't like it.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're no longer part of the crowd. So the first thing they will do, they will attack you. The moment you start taking control of your life, you start questioning the narrative,
that
you will be attacked.
Yes.
Who do you think you are?
Even just asking.
Even just saying no to things that, you know, you would have said no before, but because you were part of the crowd, it was okay. Now you have stepped back and started questioning, it's not okay anymore. So people will attack you. And that's one thing that people don't realize, that when you start on your self-mastery journey, remember I told you, all hell breaks loose. So people will attack you. They will try to force you back into the fold.
To what's familiar.
Yeah, to what's familiar to them. Because when you change, you're forcing them to change. You're forcing them to have to deal with a new you. You're forcing them to look at their own lives and see the gaps and see the lies, you know, and you're forcing them to have to make changes in their lives. People don't want to leave the comfort zone.
Yeah.
So they attack you, then they try to drag you back, but there will come a time when they will come to you and enfold you, or even ask you for help in making decisions about their lives. And if they never get to that point, it's still okay. Now, the thing is, if you're going to go against what is culturally acceptable, you have to be willing to walk alone.
Woof.
Yeah. There's a part of that journey you will have to walk alone. Why? Because there aren't many people on this journey. And if they are so busy working on themselves, like you are going to be so busy working on yourself, you don't have time for other people's drama. So there's a part of this journey that is really, really painful. The murky waters, the messiness.
Yes.
And it's tangled, you know, and you have to sit there. You have to find solutions from there before you can move forward. Are you willing to take that risk?
Wow. It started from a question of culture. And my big takeaway is that you're not blindly attacking culture. It's, again, we go to self-mastery. Who am I? What have I always believed? Why do I say or do this and it doesn't even align with my spirit? And am I willing to challenge it, do something about it, despite the consequence? Then after you do the work. Because there's also this whole new culture of women empowerment. Because when you tell someone, maybe you're on this journey, or I have this channel for women, or actually for anyone who wants to grow, it's like, oh, now you're on this women, Beijing, you're now on this, and you keep insisting. It's beyond that. There's so many nuances of culture. There's the traditional, there's the culture of social media, there's now this whole culture of femininity, and how do you act? So
but who says that culture is bad? Why are we throwing out culture?
The good
and the bad? Why can't we examine culture? Whatever cultural expectations are there, why can't we examine and choose to say, okay, this I agree with, this I do not agree with because of A, B, C, D. And, choose to live with your choices, because choices have consequences.
So then create your own culture. This is for me. This is not for me.
Exactly. When my children were young, they asked me, so we are not Luo, we are not Kikuyu. So what tribe are we? And then they decided they are Lukuyus. So for a very long time, they called themselves the Lukuyus. And I was like, oh, okay, so when we think about permutations and combinations of all Kenyan tribes, we can have so many tribes. They created their own fictitious tribe and it worked for them. And I had to allow them to have that fictitious tribe while still making them feel that they belong to these other tribes. So that's very lighthearted, but you have to choose.
Yeah.
And if you're choosing to be a rebel, then choices have consequences. Don't fight everything.
It's not a fight.
It's not a fight. It's an examination.
Of beliefs.
Yeah. And then
your habits.
You fight everything. You fight men. You say men are not bad. Men just are. If things didn't work out for you, why are you condemning a whole
generation?
Not even generation, the other half of humanity.
Actually.
Because things aren't, because you're in a bitter season.
Wow.
So again, the seasons come. If you're in a bitter season, can you be bitter on your own? Don't vomit it all over the world. Work through it.
Wow.
And, allow yourself to be in a space where, I am who I am. And I'm okay with who I am.
Yeah.
You are who you are.
Yeah.
And I give you the space to be who you are.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the culture that works is one born out of your values, your spirit, what aligns with you. And that's so, it's a powerful take. It's an examination. And then deciding.
And also your upbringing, because it doesn't matter how you grew up. Your parents did the best they could.
With what they knew.
With the resources they had. You may have had a shitty upbringing.
Yeah.
They may have made big mistakes. They may have hurt you. But when you sit and look at them, you don't excuse them for the messes they made, for any hurt that they may have caused you. You don't excuse them. They still have that responsibility on them. Yeah. But you tell yourself, I don't have to carry that burden. And I don't have to carry bile for no reason. Life is hard enough.
Oh, it is.
Why add more? Yeah. So culture, I try not to get into too much discussion about culture because it can go so many ways.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the other thing beyond this new culture that you're creating, as now you're rewriting your narrative, moving forward, we've corrected that. It's not that you're blocking an entire past. Perfectionism can start to show up, where now this is the new Edith. And I think we've touched on it on a bit when I was talking to you, is like, you now are on a trajectory of just being a perfectionist. Because it can start showing up, like, this is my path, this is how I move. And I think you started touching lightly on it when you said, it's not a fight. Can you elaborate how it now can begin to show up where this is my way, this is now my new way of doing things and being, and everyone who is not a part of it had better just
get out. Yeah. And you become intolerant. Yeah. And I've experienced it. So it's not something new.
Yes, I have. Yeah, that's why we're talking about it. You start becoming...
You become very
compassion
intolerant.
Leaves the door.
Yeah, compassion leaves the door. You start judging people. And then you become like, I'm a step ahead of everybody. I'm a level ahead.
Ego.
The ego checks in. So I don't know, for some people that can continue. Now the question is, eventually this thing will end. If you are having a very good streak for your career, retirement will come. Where will you go?
Back to
where? You burnt
the bridges.
You burnt bridges, then you went even the ashes, you scattered them. There is no possibility of anything coming out of it. Where will you go?
Yeah.
So, so we are used to this high performance, high powered, executive space. We are used to hitting milestones. We are used to being glorified. But as you're going up that ladder, there's somebody chasing after you.
Yes.
And they want your seat. So you always have to keep on your toes. But eventually, age will catch up. Time will catch up. You will leave this environment. Utaenda wapi?
Yes.
So that man you mistreated, you expect him to have waited for you all these years. He found a life for himself.
Yes.
Yeah? Or even if you're together, you're not coming back to start I can't even think of how you would come back.
Yes.
Those children you neglected, they have been brought up by nannies. They have created lives of their own. Yes, you provided for them. Maybe they went to the best schools, the best colleges. So how will you come back and start saying, I am your mother, I am your whoever, you know? So it's so easy to forget that time will catch up with you.
It's true.
Age will catch up with you. Situations are going to change. And it's not only retirement. Say the company closes.
Oh my God, yeah. Job losses.
Say I mean, look at what happened recently. You know, most of last year and a big chunk of this year so far, I've been working with women who, some of them even lost their jobs while we were still working together. High-paying jobs that are not easy to get right now.
Yeah.
So where do you go? These friends you neglected, the family you treated badly because, you know, you didn't have time. Get out of my way. They got out of your way. You know, the Swahili saying, pandangazi hushuka.
Yeah.
When you're shukaing, you're falling, who will hold you? So for me, I think what's really important, perfectionism is good depending on what you're working on. Intolerance should not be acceptable at any level.
Wow.
And don't outgrow people to the extent that you don't even see them. It's like they're there with you physically, but you don't see them. Your mind is just on the next deal. Your mind is just on
this new
conversation.
Journey.
And this conversation, you belittle people. You know, sometimes power and wealth, money, it can make you treat people badly. Yeah, success can actually make you treat people badly. So the question of who am I becoming becomes very important. As I become successful, do I like the person I'm becoming?
Oh, I love that. Repeat that.
Yeah, do I like me? Would I want to be with me?
Yeah.
If I didn't have this success, would I really want to be with me? And
on my becoming journey, who am I becoming?
Who am I becoming? It's not just about success, but who am I becoming? I find I'm becoming intolerant. I find I am short-tempered. I find I do not have time for the people who I say are important to me.
Wow.
Then you create that time for those people.
Yeah. Because then you're actually now sort of moving forward, but again moving.
You're regressing. You're actually messing up your future.
Yeah.
Because this is your future. Relationships are very important. And one thing that people learn the hard way is the day you don't have that position, your phone will go silent. And Simon Sinek talks about it a lot. You know, the phone will go silent. This phone that used to ring never went quiet, you know?
Yeah.
You will spend a full day, your first full day without a phone call. First, you will think there's a problem with the network. And then the second full day with maybe one phone call. And then the third full day, it becomes a crisis. And I'm seeing people who are getting into depression when they're thinking of their career ending, maybe they're getting towards retirement, and now they're panicking because the perks they had, the attention they had, this whole important feeling, it will no longer be there. Wow. So who are you becoming as you chase career? Yeah. And are you leaving the most important people behind? Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. One of the things that has popped out on my mind. So I love the way you framed it. Even as you're rewriting your narrative, constantly check your ego at the door. Who am I becoming as I'm becoming this new person? But there's a dilemma there between shedding the old. I have to leave this toxic, either friends, family. And then you're also telling me, who am I becoming? There's that.
It's a very interesting, it's a dichotomy, actually, because
now you have to leave some spaces, Caroline.
And also you outgrow. Yeah. You know, it's like when you've grown fat, you've outgrown the thin dresses. Why are you still wearing them?
So how do I balance those two things?
And it's an interesting conversation we were having just the other day, Saturday, because as you grow, then things change. As your income increases, the things you can afford change. So maybe you used to wear mtush, You know, you used to buy second-hand clothes, and not the camera ones, not the ones that look new. You know, those ones of you go to the toy market and but you are dressed in a nobody ninja style. Nobody can see and know you. Maybe that's where you were, and then now you've reached a point you can get camera. Yeah. So you've changed, and then now income has grown. You know, there's some people who experience exponential growth in overnight. So maybe you were earning, say, 300,000, and then you go for an interview and they call you back, and now you're earning 1.5 million. Overnight, your life changes. You know, first, unashtuka. Because the thought of that increase already, it fries your mind. And then now the things you can afford are different from what you could afford before. The places you can go, the goals you can reach for, the dreams you have.
It opens up a whole new world.
And there's a crisis that comes with that. You've outgrown the world that you have known, and it won't happen overnight. At first, you will be the one paying the bills for everyone. It's lunch. Wachani nilipe. You know, let me pay. I have the money, you know. And then people start taking advantage of you. Family and friends, now we used to call it, I remember we would call it IMF. You become IMF.
When you're
International Monetary Fund. So I don't have money for this, let me call Edith. I don't have money for this, even for some flaky things that they don't really need that money, but there's a tap that we can open and money pours. So, and then you wake up and you're like, oh no, I don't like this. And now, I think for most people, the reality check comes. Like maybe you were in a chama and you used to go for holidays together. You were at the same level. So now you don't want to share a room. Now you can afford to buy your own room. Already, same setting, same activities, but you've moved.
A different standard.
Suddenly, the clothes you're wearing are different from the rest of us. If we used to go shopping together, Mtush, now we don't.
Even region is not East Africa, it's Africa International.
Suddenly, you're going on holidays with your family, you've bought a new car, maybe you've moved to a new place. So everything changes. It may be gradual, but there reaches the point where now this is the reality check. What happens? I can no longer live this life, but I do not understand this life because I'm still new
at it.
I'm still learning. So it's a crisis for some people. And I think that's a point where something like coaching can work, so that you explore the situation that you're getting out of, or you want to get out of, but you don't know how to do it.
Without burning, like
without
you were
burning
saying,
bridges
and
without hurting people, but you will hurt people and you will be hurt because people will also react. So how do we handle success? And I think, and I'm going to put this out there, Edith, I'm challenging you because I know you can handle this. I know you have worked with women in a way that you've helped them grow. This is something I challenge you to look into.
I will.
Success coaching from the other side of success. So I get them to success. You move them to the next level. So how do we handle success? How do we handle the changes that come with success? It's not in my area of expertise, but I think it's something
I'm becoming a learner, yes.
Yeah, you could.
And I think I've learned, I'm starting to learn new things with the women I work with.
Exactly.
But it's a question I pose because a lot of, and not just success, is also for them to acquire success. There was a toxic, the naysayers, should I completely ban or should I keep them at a distance? There's a lot of nuance there because it's not just easy to just say, this uncle of mine or this parent who never supported my dreams, do I just, because it's not a straight cut off.
It's not.
And I think we simplify it. It's not, even if it was a toxic marriage that you left, you are co-parenting, these children. So it's not as easy, and it's something we need to, once we get the answers.
And I guess it's something that hasn't really been explored so much in our part of the world. Maybe in the West they have, but here we just fluff our way through.
It's not as easy as just saying cut.
No, it's not.
So and I love that we are getting as we wind up here is the space for joy.
Mm-hmm.
The space for joy in doing the work of your narrative.
Exactly.
And I think you mentioned a lot of it can get lonely, it can, it can become overwhelming. How do I want to be in my success? How do I want to show up? Talk about the space for finding joy, because I think it doesn't have to be miserable, but it's also hard to do.
It is.
When a woman is now in a place, like when I turned 40, I was like, there's a lot of urgency, there's things I want to build. But how do I find space for joy?
You create it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just create space for joy. People mistake joy. People confuse joy and happiness. You can be happy and not joyful. And this is my personal, this is just my thoughts. You can be happy. We can have, even now we can be laughing, but deep inside you're dying.
Yeah.
Joy is an inside thing. You can be joyful even in the most difficult of circumstances, because joy, it's like a well that's inside. Joy, nobody can take away your joy if you don't allow them. But someone can make you unhappy,
Yes.
or they can facilitate a process or do something that ends up making you unhappy. So when you're not joyful, you will know.
In
Those
your
3
heart.
a.m. moments,
You just know.
you just know. People say, I am not happy. Yeah, but then what will make you happy? And they say, if I get a new job, if I get married, if I get a child, it's all outside. Yeah, so if this happens, or if I get this, if I do or have this.
You're leaving it a lot of
external to you. But if you ask yourself, what makes me joyful?
Wow.
What makes me joyful? Like for me, when I'm cooking, there's such a well of something. I could call it happiness, but it's coming from the inside, and I am so happy. But my world could be crumbling.
Yes.
But put me in the kitchen, and I am so happy. When I'm listening to music. And by the things that make us joyful, really, many of them are just experiences.
Yeah.
They are not things that you have to pay for. When I'm walking on the beach and I'm looking at the splendor, I know the beach is never the same.
Yeah.
Even if you go exactly the same time every day,
it will not be the same.
When I'm walking on the beach, I have just this is something that just comes from the inside. That is joy.
Wow.
So, joy is not something that somebody can give you or something can give you. It's a choice.
A lot of us women have outsourced that.
We have outsourced it. Yeah.
So when to our children,
exactly.
I'm like, if I'm with my 3 kids, I am
No, I am happy.
Yeah, and one day they'll leave.
They leave, and they will cause you pain. And one day they will say something to you that will make you very angry, But that decision that I am going to look for more things that give me joy. Not things in the sense of outsourcing, but for more experiences that give me joy. So what are these experiences? What are the things I love doing?
Yeah.
What are the things that, who are the people, when I'm with them, we can even be quiet. Wow. But there's just that feeling
of safety, of peace,
Yeah. You can't describe joy.
It's inward. You just know. I love how you've said, when you're alone, and I think I said also in the self-mastery video, you just know yourself.
Yeah.
When you're alone, what are those?
Yeah, and there are times, I'm not a deeply religious person, but I do believe that God and I, we make a winning team. And there are times something happens and you'll find me laughing, and I can laugh, and I sit and I'm like, you know what, God, there, 10-0, you have won.
Yeah.
Like when I was talking earlier and I was saying, I can't do this. And I said, no, let me not say that, because I know when I say something like that, God laughs. Yeah. And when God laughs, there will come an instance when I will get something in that line that will shock me. And then you'll find me laughing when it happens. So I don't think it's possible to be fully joyful if you don't know yourself, if you have not allowed whatever higher power that you subscribe to. I don't want to go religious because people believe in different things, but we all believe in a higher power, whatever you call it. That higher power infuses you with something.
That you can't
you can't explain, but you can only feel and experience it. That is joy.
Wow. So profound. We could go on and on about rewriting narratives. I remember a quote I read, something along the side of, sometimes the body is on its feet and the soul is on its knees.
Wow.
And it's a good way to know, what does your soul feel? And joy is also inward. It's connecting with a higher power. You will know it if you're not joyful. And I've just realized one thing that gives me joy is when I'm editing. And a client says, like, these words, this is everything about how I move, how I work. How did you find these words? It gives me so much joy. Anyway, that was a caveat. As we end, I want you to encourage a woman who, they are at that crossroad. They know they should start. They embrace their old story, and maybe it's been one of pain, of discomfort, of not aligned with their dreams. And now they want to start sort of rewriting, moving forward. You as a coach, what are some of, like, just simple tips so that we leave them with something practical? Like, if I want to start this journey, and if I never get a Caroline, maybe I can't even afford it right now, what would be a surefire way that I can start small?
Yeah, when you said me that, they should not say that question, I was like, oh my gosh, what can I tell them they can do on their own? You know, and I was like, but I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to say this. But what I realized is the first thing you need to do is to choose you. Choose you. Yeah, I choose me. I choose to make myself a priority. I choose to believe in myself. I choose to allow myself to go through this because I know the moment I'm done with this, there is something better that will come out of this. So choose yourself. And, you know, one other thing, and this one I will just say directly because I think we need to hear it and internalize it. Most of us women are not even in our own picture. We're not in our own picture. And I work with women who are so successful, achieved their goals, achieved their dreams, but they are not in their own picture. So all this is for other people. So put yourself back into your picture. And you cannot put yourself back into your picture if you don't choose you. So a lot of times we are on the outside looking in, despite having achieved the things that we never thought we could achieve. So choose you. But you don't choose yourself in a narcissistic way. Nimefika, you know, I have reached, I am.
What we talked about, the ego.
The ego. You choose yourself from a point of humility and say, I exist. There's a reason why I exist. God created me for a reason. And I am here. This may be a painful season right now, but eventually all seasons end. So I choose me. But who do I want to become as I'm choosing myself? And then focus on that person you want to become. Start doing things every day that are in line with the person you want to become. Yeah, you don't need the big car. You don't need you don't need grand things.
Even dressing nicely sometimes.
Yeah,
you
dress nicely.
For years.
I mean, we put on makeup
for this.
for this.
Yeah.
You know, choose you and make yourself a priority in your life. A part of your budget belongs to you. You know, it's not just about showing up for the world, paying school fees, what. Make yourself a priority. You know, when we talk about self-care, people think about going to the spa and all that. But what if self-care means I will take 5% of my income and I will use that as somebody called it blow money. Nobody should question me because this is my money. If I choose to go watch a movie, I will go watch a movie. And when you choose yourself, you know, then the things that used to make you happy, are you doing them? The things that would give you joy. Maybe you love gardening. Find a way to garden, even if it's somebody else's garden, you know. Maybe you loved, like, I love knitting. When I'm knitting, I get insights, but I don't create time for knitting. So where is the joy? You know, I'm losing out on joy and maybe watching YouTube videos when I could be creating joy by knitting. So just find out what it takes to choose you, and then do it. And remember, ego gets out. We are not being narcissists. We are not deliberately harming people. We are not breaking barriers unnecessarily. We are not burning bridges. We are just choosing to exist in the best way possible for ourselves.
Wow.
Yeah. And we've already said other things, get help.
Get help.
Get help, yeah.
And girl, we are rooting for you, whoever is watching. And I have a feeling we'll start getting men on this channel, Caroline, because the work of healing, the work of being whole is for everybody. This is so beautiful. If you haven't, please go watch part 1. This is a masterclass. If you're not with a book, if you're in the car, get home. You can always replay it, get a book, get a paper, a pen, because I love how Caroline just breaks down things for us. And we'll see you in part 3. And if you haven't done so, if you haven't shared it with your mother, father, sister, girlfriend who wants to level up, what are you doing? Because here we are all about growing and bringing guests like Caroline, because we are giving ourselves the gift of examination of the life we lead and the life that we want to lead. I'll see you in part 3. Please stay tuned. Bye.